Hello guys, good morning and welcome back. Alright, so in this video I want to briefly explain to us how I got my joining perfectly well. Now what I did, or what you will do, is either you use carton paper or cardboard paper or Ankara material. You will first of all cut the front block with a rough material, a rough fabric. So I use Ankara here to draft mine. So I make sure I cut Ankara in this form, right? Just only the front panel is all I need, or all I did, right? So after that, now the next thing I did as well is to make sure I determined the point where I want the slashing to come from. So I decided to make it to come from the armhole point and then a bit lower at the half part of the other side. Then I slashed all through to this direction. Then after this, I removed it this way. Then I used each of these panels and cut out the up part area and the down part area. Then I made sure I added half an inch of extra allowance at the slashed point. This slash point had half an inch extra while I was cutting the red one. Then I also placed this as well on the black material and cut exact size, but then half an inch extra at the slashed area as well. So this is how I drafted out the panels that I'm using to sew this front cloth now. So I now have to go and weave the edges, and then after the weaving, I now joined them in this form and they open pressed all through. So this is the result I am getting right here. So now the next I did as well was to gum the neck region. Now this gumming is a compulsory, just to help you achieve a perfect relaxation on the front neckline. Then after which, I now wanted to join the front and the back panel together. Now don't forget that this tie is shoulder zip. So all I did, or all you will do as well, is to make sure on the left panel of the dress, there is no need for you to sew because of the zip will be on the left panel. So on the right panel of the dress is where I held the shoulder together, and then I used hemming gum placed on top of this. How did I hold this shoulder? I placed the back panel the wrong side facing up, while the right side is facing down of the machine. And then I placed the wrong side of the front panel facing the wrong side of the back panel this way. And then I placed the right panel, the right side of the back panel, the back facing the right side of the front block. I held them at the right panel shoulder area, used hemming gum, and then I stitched half an inch joining all through. And then I will turn it over to the other side, to the back panel now. And then I will now lock the back facing. Then you must make sure that the back facing is relaxed enough. Then you stitch down the back facing in this form, holding it firmly, stitch it down all across to this point. Then after which, I will show you what next to do. Alright, so now I am done joining. I'm sewing the back facing. So this is how the back facing looks like. Then I made a double thread in here to give it a finishing effect. Now this will be how it should be looking like. Then the next you will do now is to hold down the shoulder panel of the front block. Just hold it down with your normal stitch so that the back panel and the back facing will become one piece, so that it will be easier for you to fix your zip at this part without much stress. So try your best to make sure you sew it down all across from the beginning to the end. Then hold it down properly and stitch just half an inch or quarter inch down in order to make it to look like it will be a one piece. So at this point, you can decide to weave that edge. In order for you to achieve a neater finishing at the inside panel. So you can decide to weave these two edges in order to have a better finishing here. So let me weave and show you the results. Alright, so guys, so now I have weaved the shoulder region just to make it to be fine, right? So I weaved it. Now the next you will do now is to hold down this shoulder point by 0.75. 0.75, a bit wider or bigger or half an inch, however, or the zip size. Then use your loose stitch at this point. You use a loose stitch, right? At this point. So hold it down by half an inch or maximum 0.75. Then once you have held it down this way, now the next you will do now is to arrange your neckline. How do you arrange your neckline? All you need to do is first and foremost open press these shoulder points. Open press it all through this way, right? After open pressing, then you balance the shoulder, the neck. You balance this neck this way and make sure you trim your neck in accordance to your customer's size. Make sure you trim your neck in accordance to your customer's size. So once you have gotten to this stage, you're almost done with your sewing. Open press the shoulder region this way, open press this point this way, and then trim the neck and then trim your shoulder. I'll go and do this and come back and show you the results. All right, so now I am done with the neck trimming, the shoulder trimming as well. So the next I will do is to pipe the shoulder, the neck rather, sorry, the neck. Now you have to open up this loose stitch you have made initially. So once you open up, you have to lose it a bit, right? So lose it a bit, then you have to pipe the neck first before proceeding with any other thing. Or that is what you should do first. Before you put your zip, you must pipe your neck. Then just to make it nice, then there's no need to fold the piping or the bias at this point. Leave it open straight up. Then place your neckline inwards this way, and then cover it down, and then you start from there to stitch. Make sure that the neck is properly tucked in inside the bias. Then make sure the neck is properly tucked inside the bias. Make sure the neckline is tucked in right inside the bias, and then start from there to pipe. Take your time, go gradually, don't be in a haste. Take it bit by bit. For some of us who are yet having issues on piping, this video will go a long way to explain to you how to get a perfect and nice piping, right? So just take your time, place the neck inside and stitch all through. You know, you don't need to bother yourself with being in a haste to see the results. So go step by step, step by step, step by step. Make sure everything is nicely done. Go step by step. Go step by step. Tuck in the neckline. So you make sure you take your time. Tuck in the neckline inside the bias and pipe nicely. Don't be in a haste, right? Just go gradually. Don't be in a haste, just like you are rushing to see the finished results. So pipe all through this way. Pipe all through this way. Pipe all through this way. So after this, the next you will do now is to top stitch the piping, right? Top stitch the necklines, let's say 2 or 3 top stitching, cut off the excess bias. So you also iron this down before you start fixing your zip at the shoulder panel. This is just solely for our purpose of finishing. So you gradually take your time and top stitch all through this way. Make sure that the top stitching is catching the tip of the bias. It must catch the tip of the bias. Top stitch all through that way. Then after this, you can still top stitch the middle line, or you can still leave it as double line. So I like doing the middle line. It helps to reinforce the piping to relax, right? So top stitch the middle line. Top stitch the middle line. Just take your time. Don't be in a haste. Don't be in a haste to do this. Then once you're done with this, now you are going to lock back the neck points. You're going to lock back the neck edge. You're going to lock back the neck edge. After locking it back, you now press the neck, iron the neck, which I will show you guys how to properly iron the neckline of our senator outfit after piping, because it's very important you also learn how to do this. So also don't forget to use your loose stitch in doing this as well. So lock it back. So once you lock it back properly this way, now the next you will do is to iron down the necklines, and then let me show you guys how to do this as well. Now let's see how to open press the zip allowance. You make sure you open press your zip allowance nicely this way. Open press it all through this way. Now after open pressing, you can still sprinkle water on it in order to relax it very well. This area I'm doing now is very important. You must do it before you proceed with anything else about zip fixing. So if you have not learned how to do this, please don't proceed with anything else on this clothes. Then after this, you now iron the neckline. Now see the easiest way or the best way to iron your neckline. Your neckline after piping will look like a small collar. It will be standing in this form. All you need to do is to bring a piece of fabric and place on the neck region, right? And then sprinkle water across on it this way, and then iron from down to up. Use your iron to push the bias to fall down in this form. So take your time to do this. Relax the neck as much as you can this way. Relax the neck as much as you can. Gradually your neckline will fall. Your neckline will fall. Gradually your neckline will fall. So you have perfectly ironed your neckline, and your neckline must give you this relaxation effect, as you can see how fine it is compared to the time we have not ironed the neck yet. So you will believe with me now that ironing is of great essence in our daily sewing, especially the neckline of senator outfits, right? So you must make sure you iron properly. If your steam iron is not giving you enough steam, you sprinkle water on it or use your dresser iron to iron as well. It still gives you the same relaxation effect. So this neckline is the most important thing we have done now. So let's now go and fix our shoulder zip and proceed with our sleeve joining. All right, so now the next to do now is to bring out your regular foot, the normal foot you have, lose it out. Now bring your invisible footer, this one here. It has left and right, so anyone you can lay your hands on can be used as well. So fix the footer inside this. Fix the footer inside this and make sure it's properly locked. Then after this, bring your invisible zip. You can use the long one or the short one, whichever one you can lay your hands on. And then face the invisible track of the invisible zip. Face the invisible track downwards this way. Face it at the joint part of the zip. Now push it 1 inch above the neck region. Then after that, you can lock or hold this temporarily on the clothes. You can just stitch it temporary stitch make a temporary stitch here. Make a temporary stitch here. Stitch all through this way, and then after this, you now cut your threads. Cut your threads. Also make sure you have your temporarily holding down your zip down. It's very important as well. So once you hold it down with a temporary stitch, now the next thing to do is to lose the first threading which we used in holding the main fabric together. So with the help of your seam ripper, you lose your first threading. So learn how to use a seam ripper. You are to place this one inwards this way, and then because of the fact that the rest iron has removed, so it might not really work the way it should have. But then you lose it out from here, rip off the seam. Rip off the seam. It's called seam ripper because it's used in losing seams you have already sewn. So rip it off all through. Alright, so now after you must have ripped off your seams, it will come out in this form. So cut off any thread that might be on the track of your zip. Then you have to unzip this way, unzip this one this way, and then you open up that bent edge of your zip. There is a bent portion of this zip here where you are seeing kind of a bent effect somewhere here. So you have to lap it at the edge where your invisible footer is. So open it up that way and lap it very close to that point, and then tighten your stitch. Don't forget that your stitch was on loose stitch initially. Tighten your stitch, your regular stitch width, and then stitch so close to that bent edge. Stitch so close to that bent edge. Then after doing this, do the same thing on the other sleeve zip as well. So trying my best to make sure I push it out from here. So lapping the zip properly. Lap it properly this way and open up all the allowances. Open up all the allowances. So open up all the allowances and then make sure you are stitching at the exact position of the invisible zip mouth, that way. So stitch all through this way, stitch all through this way. And once you have gotten to this stage, now the next thing to do now is to cut off the threads, cut off your thread as well, and then cut them off, cut them off, cut them off, cut them off, cut off any single thread left there. Then before you lock the zip head, just try to cross check what you have fixed, if it's corresponding to the best position you might have wished for. So this is very much okay for us. So it's lapping properly, as you can see how neatly the zip edge or the mouth track is looking. So I'm going to lock the head now. How do you do that? You'll remove your footer again and install your regular footer which we used, or which we have originally. So install this other footer again, and then fold the zip edge to come down backwards this way, fold it to come down backwards, and then stitch. And then stitch all through that way. So once you have stitched this point, now the next you will do now is to stitch the other one as well. So fold it back again and also stitch this one as well. Fold it backwards again and also try your best to stitch it down again. So you stitch all through this way. So once you have stitched to this point, you are done with your zip fixing. So the next you also gonna see now is how to fix our sleeve. Now I noticed that some of us still have issues on the sleeve fixing. Now the reason we're having these issues is possibly because we have not really paid attention to how to properly fix our sleeves, and it's also very much important that you should fix your sleeve in a way that should not alter the curve on your armhole. So I'm trying to stitch down the head. So at this point you don't need to pedal your machine, just roll in order not to break your needle, because that head is always hard. So just roll the head and make sure it's properly held down this way. Do the same thing as well at the other part. Then once you're done doing this, let's now fix our sleeve. We are done with our invisible zip. Then the sleeve is a normal cutting that has your turn up effects, which I use hemming gum to hold this firmly, right? So I will place the center panel of the turn up effect with the center panel of the sleeve, and then start from one edge and lock it up with 1/2 inch. So now just make sure that the joining is nicely done. So just join it nicely. So after this, the next you will do is your weaving, right? So you have to weave the edge. So join the other one as well. Then, so you make sure when you have trimmed your shoulder, you must have notched your shoulder points. Now this notching, because of the fact that I iron, so that's why I can still see it, right? So you notch all through that way, and then you place your sleeve point this way. Now please watch closely how my sleeve is being fixed. Now you cut off the zip excesses. Now once you cut it off, please don't unzip your zip again, because the zip will spill over, so and it will pull off from the track. So once you are done with this, cut off the excesses this way, and then also notch the zip points this way, and then the sleeve points, and then match the two notches together, and then join with quarter of an inch or half an inch. Now half an inch is advisable because that was what you used when you were adding the allowances for trimming. So make sure whatever measurement you use in stitching, you maintained it all through this way. Don't increase, don't reduce. Try your best to straighten the sleeve a bit, as if you are going to have a straight line. Straighten the sleeve. Try to straighten the sleeve to form a straight line while you fix your sleeve. Don't sew in a curvy form. After the straightening, the sleeve will fall back to its original shape. So make sure it's done this way, and then also lock this one as well. Also lock this one as well. Make sure everything is nicely done. So just make sure you take your time to watch this video to the end. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please kindly subscribe. Invite your friends to join us on this platform, on this channel, for us to grow and learn together. So try your best to drag your sleeve while you join, and go gradually. Don't be in a haste to finish all of these whole processes. Don't be in a haste, to finish all of these whole processes. So after this now, I also do the next sleeve, and then I will show you the results.